Couch Co-op is full of douchebags. Couch Co-op. Couch Co-op. Couch Co-op.
Hello, Couch Co-opers, Couch Potatoes, and Couch Codependents. This is the Couch Co-op Show. I'm Ian, and I got Dave with me. And we're back to do the final episode of our Mass Effect Trilogy replay.
We're only 2 weeks late for doing them all. We actually did play them all in 2023. We
did.
Just didn't quite get round to recording until 2024.
No worries. You know, we did it. At least we finished something. We completed the task at hand.
Yeah, we'll have to figure what the next trilogy is going to be.
Yeah, what we do next.
But do the Red Dead, the 1 and 2.
Actually, you could play 3 of them. We could play Red Dead Revolver on PS2.
Oh, true. I actually beat that last year, I think.
Oh, did you?
One of the quests that you guys sent me when I didn't show up on the podcast. So yeah, I beat. That's a really hard game as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like classic PlayStation 2 game where there's a couple of levels that just get crazy difficult.
Because that game was like, I'm glad we're talking about Red Dead all of a sudden, but I just remember that game was like partially developed and then Rockstar bought it.
Yeah.
So they could use the Red Dead title, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, yeah.
We've played 1 and 2, and now we're playing the third one. What did you think, Dave?
First question. Still FemShep?
Oh, yeah. Same Shepherd all the way through.
Yeah.
I imagine?
I really liked this one, and I really enjoyed it. And I actually played most of the DLC as well. I didn't realize it until I was just looking after the fact of what we did.
Right.
I think the only thing I missed was the stupid little mini game from Mass Effect 2 where you ping the planets. You know,
I mean, there's a version of it, but
there's
it's
a
not
version
exactly.
of it, but it's not as fun, and it's not quite because there's a bunch of missions that you like do that just
They like streamlined it. They also got rid of the mini games for the hacking.
Yes.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I don't think those added anything to it. And then, so I suppose we're going with the negatives first. So I missed that. And then the only other problem I had sometimes was the mission list gets very long, and it's very hard. I almost ended up with a pen and paper as to like, okay, I need to go to this system and find this book for this guy, you know, or whatever.
It's a bit more vague in the quest structure. There's just a list of quests you have to do. At least in the last one, it seemed like they were a little more plotted out.
Yes.
So yeah, I just kept looking at that like.
And then it would say
mission?
like Citadel mission, and you'd say such a guy, and the mission was actually to go somewhere else and get something for that guy.
Right.
Whereas I felt like on the old one, it was like it would give you the star system and find this, and then when you found it, it would tell you that now you've got to deliver it to, you know, whoever.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I kept having to like just Google search like what the fuck is this mission, and like and then okay.
Or where is it?
Yeah.
Sometimes it would give you the star system. It would give you the like the star system, and then the planet, or the sun, and then the planet. And then other times it would just give you the planet name and expect you to know that was in such and such a star system in such and such a cluster. You know. So.
I did all the missions in the game, all the side missions except one mission. There's one side mission I wasn't able to finish, and it's because it was a collect intel mission in one of the main story missions, and so once that story mission was over, it locks you out. So that
I had a couple of those that you couldn't go back and because of the DLC or whatever.
So that's the one mission I didn't complete in the game, but I did everything else. Yeah, I would say that was the most. I didn't mind that the mini games were gone.
No.
The version of it that's in there was fine. It's a little different. The thing that's different in this game, and instead of really collecting minerals, it's about collecting
Yes.
war resources instead
You
of
get
like
like people come to your cause, don't you?
right,
Basically, so you've
right.
got to get over. It's like 3,500 or something war points.
Yeah, the basic version, and
Yeah,
then
basic. So the main story missions will get you like 200, 300, maybe 500, and then like all these little side quests get you like 25 because you
right.
recruit some scientist or some little band of ships or whatever.
Basically, once you cross the minimum requirement line, it allows you can now go finish the game if you
I think
want
we both did the same thing though. We crossed that minimum
and go all the
requirement
way.
line and just kept going till the
So,
mission list was empty.
so something that you mentioned before we started recording was the fact that there was a multiplayer in this game, unlike the
Yeah.
other Mass Effect 1 and 2. And the one thing that you could do with the multiplayer is that it allowed you to collect resources and get it all the way to 100 basically. So you could keep playing that and it would allow you. So that's because I felt like I did everything in the game except for that one tiny mission and I still couldn't
Yeah.
get 100%. So like I feel like that's where the multiplayer is missing, because you could just go in there and like, collect more resources and get it to 100% basically. And
Yeah.
it was a pretty cool, fun multiplayer too.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the game. I played all the DLC. The only one I didn't like was the Citadel, and I know people really like. From what I've read, people really like that one because it's more about. It's like you're taking a break on the Citadel, and you get to know all the characters and the love lives and all the rest of it.
I enjoyed it.
But I was just like, I just wanted to get back to the story. I don't know why. It didn't do it for me at all, and it just felt like pulling teeth like that. That was the only slow spot in the game.
So did you ever play the first? Or is this your first
You know,
time?
I think this is the first time I've played this one. I played Mass Effect 2, and for some reason I don't know why I didn't play this because it was on the 360, and you know, back then I had the 360, and I don't know why I wouldn't have got it because I really enjoyed one. I really enjoyed 1 and 2. So
Yeah. So I bought this one when it launched. It came on PS3 and 360 the same time this time. So it's the first Mass Effect.
yeah,
And but I never played the DLC, so I've only played the base game all the way through, and I only played it once. Well, once and a quarter, because if you know the story behind Mass Effect 3, there was a big outpouring about the ending, and so they changed and rewrote the ending and then updated it later. So I guess I could figure out what the original ending is if I went back and played this without the update, but I couldn't tell you for the life of me what the change was going into it now. I'd have to read about what the change was.
From what I read, the change was that they basically did a bit more explaining. So you know how there's the final choice, how you use the crucible or not, as the case may be.
Just like a middle choice.
There's a middle choice, but also originally you made your choice and then that was the end. Like, and I think they added some more cutscene
Gotcha.
beyond that, to kind of not pad it out, but like give you a more satisfying end.
Right.
So
I, having not ever played the DLC, played all of it. I loved all of it. I enjoyed all of it.
I enjoyed all of it apart. I like the Citadel,
Oh,
and even the Citadel wasn't that bad.
I enjoyed romancing my characters and throwing the party and taking the group photo and all that shit. I enjoyed all that shit. I did. Did you do the pull up challenge?
No, I did not.
I did the entire pull up challenge.
I got to the. I don't know why the Citadel bit just hit me at the time where I was like, oh, I just want to get gone with this. But
No,
the From Ashes DLC was all right. That's the one that gives you Jarvik. Anyway, spoilers or alerts incoming, lots of them. But that was the one that gave you the Promethean Jarvik as a squad mate.
I don't know. He was in it from originally.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure.
And then there was Leviathan, the one where you go to the bottom of the sea. I really enjoyed that.
That definitely is a DLC. That was cool, different.
And you find out about the Reaper's origins. I thought that really added to the story and the lore.
The other DLC is the one where you go, the Asari
To
mobster.
Omega.
Yeah, you go back to Omega, and then it has the
Yeah.
two new characters you play with
Yeah,
during.
that was all right. It was like
It's like filler.
it was pretty good, but only because you could say that about a lot of this game, though. Like half of the reason it was so good is you'd met a lot of these characters before or been in these places before. So
Right. So, my original, obviously, my original playthrough, my character started at Mass Effect 2 and then went to Mass Effect 3. So I believe because I never played Mass Effect 1 and the choices I made in Mass Effect 2, Rex was never in my game. So playing this trilogy this time, just having Rex all through the game totally changed. There's a bunch of stuff that just totally changed, and Tally being dead from my last gameplay was just like it's kind of weird playing a game with like characters that are missing or not there, and then certain things that I really didn't remember this game. Like I'm halfway through the game, I'm like I don't remember any of this.
I remember playing it. Yeah, I think I think that was one of the reasons it's such a highly rated game. Is if you do play the previous ones, depends on. It's like different what happens to you and what happens to me, depending on the characters we lost in the previous one. But
I also thought it was funny or kind of crazy. I forgot about the fact that you come out of the elevator in your ship and then there's a wall of all the dead people from your crew.
yes,
And I just always just seen like you come out and then there's just Tally's name. I'm just like, I fucking hate this game. No, just it's like fucking weird. It's just like, and then because my romance in the first game I romanced Liara. In the second game, she's not really interested in having a romance because she's a shadow broker. So I kind of I don't know who did I romance in that game.
I didn't romance anyone. I don't think in the second one.
I
The
don't
first
really.
one was the Marine guy. He's in it a little bit on this one, but
So oh no, I kind of romanced the chick, your little secretary, in number 2, the secretary next to you, and
yes,
then I didn't think I
yeah,
romanced.
so did I.
I don't think I romanced Thane in number 2, but when I came to number 3, dude,
It was
Thane,
hot and
he
heavy.
was like hot and heavy for me. So like it chose, and then Liara's upset that I'm spending time with Thane, but Thane's dying. Liara's still, but who do I hook up with? I hook up with the girl next to me again, and we had a lot of sex scenes. Like there's just a
Yeah.
lot of romantic scenes. I had a shower scene. I had a hot tub scene. I had
Dang, I played this game wrong. I didn't get any of that.
yeah, dude. It's fucking great. I was like, yeah. Anyway, so
It's funny. I just feel like even though I played this game through, if I played it again, it would be totally different.
it's funny. It's so funny.
Like some of the decisions you make, because there's a couple of points in the game where you make basically you can choose between race A, race B, and or try and please them both. I pissed off half the races, to be quite honest.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so like when you choose between the biophage for the Krogans, and they tell you that the tower is it's got a failsafe in it or
Oh,
something
right.
makes it not work. Well, I fixed it and told the Krog,
Oh,
and cured the Krogans, so the Solarians were all like pissed off. So they didn't join the alliance, but I was like, screw you guys, you genocidal home, you know,
I
assholes.
so I sided with the Krogans. The
Mm-hmm.
tower, Morden dies, but the Solarians still are on my team. They still sided with. The only people I lost were what are Tally's people called?
Quarians.
The Quarians.
Yeah, I lost them as well
Because I sided with the Geth. I sided with the Geth.
Yeah, the Geth became sentient, and I was like, yeah, good on you.
Which I
And then-
didn't. I remember not doing that in the. I did remember that part from the first time I played, and I did side with the Quarians that time. But this time, because I like Legion so much, and Tally was dead, I decided to side with Legion. But then fucking Legion dies, so it's like a lose-lose. It's like I mean,
yeah, Legions. I really like that character.
yeah.
I must admit, I liked most of the characters. I did still find myself playing what's his name most of the time, Sniper Dude.
Oh, Gareth. Garrus?
Barrett, yeah.
No, I just female Death Squad all the time. Liara and
I did like Liara was always like in my rotation pretty heavy.
Who did I mostly Liara and who's the other chick I played? I'm forgetting her name now. There's another. What is it on here? I don't know. Anyway, occasionally I'd play as. No, I'm pretty much sure I don't think I ever played Garrus. You know who was an improvement? You know who was dead in my game the first time? So in number 2, one of my original playthroughs, and so in 3 when I came through, Jack had been dead. But talk about Jack in this game is such an improvement. Like her character design is way hotter, and she's just really. But you don't get to play. You don't get to play as her or use her as a squad. It's like, oh, that sucks.
I thought that was interesting, yeah, because you come back and you meet some of the characters who you could previously have in your squad, and then they're not playable in this game,
or they be playable for like a couple missions.
Yes, they join you for like a little bit.
Yeah, like Rex was like, you got to have him in a mission for a couple or something, but then he was gone. It's the AI. It's the AI character.
Evie.
Evie. So Evie was always, so it's her and Liara was generally my death squad, and that's what I rolled with generally.
Yeah, I used Evie quite a bit. I quite liked that character. So
I actually think playing it, I was just like, oh my god, I almost never wanted it to end. Like I went through this game, I felt I went through this game so fast, and I kind of didn't want it to end, and I might like it more than 2 actually. I don't know.
I can see that. I like the broad strokes of this game as well, and it was quite memorable. Like, and then having to choose between the races and the missions, it feels like a tree that just can branch off in so many different directions depending on what choices you make.
What was your ultimate choice at the end?
I became the Crucible, or for want of a better description. How about you?
The one where is that the one where she dies?
Yeah, she dies and takes over the AI basically, and
right. Yeah, that's the one I also chose.
Yeah.
The middle one didn't unlock for me.
Yeah, I think there's because I've read there's 4 endings. One is where one of the ones they added was where you basically just do nothing and the Reapers win, which seems like a kind of crappy ending.
Well, because there's the one where you survive, there's the one where you die, and then there's like there's one where where the Reapers like synthetic and organic. Every race becomes synthetic and organic. Is it where you just you just sit there and don't do anything? Is that the point?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I always thought you walked through the center, but maybe you don't walk through the center. Because I do remember playing it. My original playthrough at the end, I played through all the endings. I didn't do that this time. And there's in one of the scenes where Evie walks out with Joker, her visor is green. It turns green instead of blue or yellow or whatever. It's like a green color, signifying I don't know what, but that it was different. But
she's changed, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I spent most of the game running around in that like black leather dress that she has.
Of course.
Yeah, like because there's that mission where you've got to infiltrate the party and like get into the safe. Is it?
I love that shit where like anytime you dance or they bring up your dancing and it's just like a joke that you can't dance.
That you can, because it's so true. It's like they dance like it's dad dance, isn't it?
If you go into the bar, there's a scene where she dances against the wall. It's pretty funny. I don't know. I don't know. And I love how Joker through the whole time is like trying to court Evie, and that dialogue is hilarious. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I can see why you like the Citadel, because the word that really goes into that kind of humor and the relationships and doesn't take itself too seriously. So I could see why people would like that DLC.
I thought it was funny too, though, the way it's kind of, because I would keep going back to it. I wouldn't do it all at once. I would kind of come back and leave, but I always thought it was kind of funny that like they're in a hurry. Earth is dying, and yet I have my apartment. You need to take some time off.
Yeah, It's like Earth's getting screwed over, but take some time off. It'll do you good.
Video game logic. It's just like, But I enjoyed all that shit. I thought it was funny. I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed it too.
I do think like we had gripes. I think we had gripes in 1 and 2 about like kind of the mapping structure of the Citadel. I found it was really easy to navigate this time. I felt like it's
Yeah, it
probably
made
the
a lot
best.
more sense, didn't it, this
Yeah,
time?
pretty
It
easy.
also, when you brought up the map, it would tell you like where the people were
Right,
in.
for sure.
So it was a lot easier to find the guy you were looking for, or at least find the people that had some kind of information for you. So
And then if you were like into turning in a mission really quickly, like as soon as you hit the Citadel, it would say, "Hey, do you need a lift to
yeah, do
this
you want
part?" Or
transportation
right
to
away,
this part?
you
Yeah,
don't have to like load a million times to get to the certain point. And oddly, I was leveling up super fast. I had so much money. Like I don't feel like progression was very difficult in this
no,
one. I don't know if it carried over or something, but I felt like I was maxed out right
and I
away.
never felt once. Like I got the self-recharging gun. I can't remember whether it was the Geth plasma rifle or whatever that just it has like 30 rounds and then you don't shoot for a little while and it charges up.
Right.
Once I got that, I just didn't use pretty much anything else and never ran out of ammo. I never felt like I was desperate for money to buy stuff. It
Yeah, I
was
just
like,
felt like I could just, and even then, like once all the stores were unlocked, I would just all buy it. Even
yeah,
though it costs more, I would just buy it from the ship store where they had all of the vendors
yeah.
in one spot. And just because it cost more, it didn't really matter because I just had so much
And
money all the time.
to be quite honest, I didn't find myself digging too deep into that portion of the game.
Hmm.
I never felt like I needed to upgrade because like the difficulty was not terrible.
Right.
I think the worst character actually was that ninja guy. What's his name?
Oh,
The
right.
elusive man's lackey.
And I feel like that's not because he's difficult. They just made him
Yeah.
so you
Well,
can't kill him. You can't kill him right away. You have to like keep. Yeah.
I had a glitch where I just couldn't kill him.
Oh, really?
I ended up resetting it,
Oh, that's
and
fucked
I
up.
killed him in the like about five minutes. The first time I sat there for 15 minutes, just like bullet sponging him, and it was like just nothing.
I actually considered platinuming it because I think I have like 78% of the trophies, and I was just like, oh man, do I want to just grind this out? But probably have to play it on hardcore mode, and I didn't really feel like doing that. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know it's. You want it to be fun, not like banging your head against the wall.
I mean, I do really wish I really could have gone for just a few more hours. I think I was not sick of it. It could have gone on. I don't know.
But maybe that's a good thing,
Maybe leave me wanting more. I suppose.
Yeah, leave you wanting more as opposed to like leaving you being like, oh,
I do
God,
like
that's all.
I do like those moments like at the very end for when you enter the last pretty much like the last level and you like kind of like you go around and you talk to all your crew about like well
Yeah.
here it is. I kind of like those moments and you see everyone who showed up to fight with you and
Yeah, that was cool. And it's like I could see how if you'd made different choices, there'd be different people there.
right for sure
So
or not any of them there, you
yeah,
know. But it was cool like having the you walk into this room there's this giant Geth there and it's like I don't know I find all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff kind of cool. You did this for them and they're all loyal to you now and
yeah. And then you didn't have to talk to him if you didn't want to, but of course you do.
of course.
I didn't play it in the mode, but apparently there's a mode where it just does the dialogue and makes the choices for you.
Oh,
If you just
really?
want to play the action, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I was reading about it. There's like 3 modes to play. One is action, which is essentially it just plays the dialogue. It's like cutscenes. You don't have any, well, not any choice, but
What path does it take you on?
I'm not sure. I
Oh,
didn't.
That'd
It,
be
it just
interesting. I'd be curious to know if it just takes you down like Paragon path or if it has you choose. Maybe do you want to be Paragon or do you want to be Renegade?
did
That'd
you
be
have
cool.
much renegade points at the end?
Yeah, I had a few. I mean, I was mostly Paragon, but every time someone was a bitch and I just wanted to slap them or
Yeah, I did. There's a couple of times when I slapped people. Yeah.
or you know, you're gonna shoot. I want to shoot. If they're gonna give me the choice, I'm gonna shoot this guy because this dude's a fucking asshole. So like
Yeah.
the R2 pops up, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna end this motherfucker. So there's every once
Yeah,
in a
I'm
while,
trying
it's
to
like
remember. I did that to 1 or 2 people. Yeah, it was just like, no, you're an asshole.
it's interesting in the pull-up challenge with what's his name, the big buff dude. So his fucking, I don't know. Did you even instigate this?
I definitely talked to him, and
His record for pull-ups is like 140, and then and then I go, well, I could beat that. It's like, am I gonna do 140 pull-ups right now? And yes, I am. But you do like every once, like you do L2, and then every once in a while R2. So it's like Paragon,
Yeah.
Renegade, Paragon, Renegade. It's just weird. So I did that. I pushed those buttons 140 times, beat his record. I don't know. It's just fucking so
That's
stupid.
funny.
So stupid. And
yeah,
it
I
keeps
did the one with Garrus. Is it where you do
Oh,
the
the
shooting?
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to let him win, or
Fuck
do you want
no.
to just like? And I'm like, no.
No.
He's a big boy. He can manage.
Yeah.
He can accept that I'm a better shot.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's funny shit, dude. But yeah, I like all. But like, am I really gonna do this pull-up thing?
You sat there and you're like, is it really going to make me press the button 140 times?
Yep. And
And
it,
you're like-
keeps changing the perspective, and every once in a while you'll see what is his name? Vasquez? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, you're thinking aliens, but yeah, I know the
the
I know the
big buff,
character you
the
mean, yeah.
meat cake guy or beefcake guy. Anyway, he's sitting there punching on the punching bag, and he's like, "Way to go, Shepard! You're halfway there." It's just so stupid. It's like, I don't know. I would love to know why they decided to put that in the game, but anyway, it was pretty funny.
Just so people could talk about it.
I guess. I don't know.
But-
yeah, for this podcast. But yeah, I love all the quirky stuff in it. It was weird every time someone died and you just see their name, like Legion dies, his name goes up on the board, Thane dies. It's just like, God damn, I'm losing everybody on this goddamn game. It was weird. And then Liara just cold-shouldered me, you know. I don't think you can romance her. I don't know. I thought you could again, but I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, she seemed like she wasn't as into it this time. Not the romancing, but like she just wasn't as central to the game.
It's weird.
You know.
I think you get with Garrus in this game, but I'm not. Anyway.
Yeah.
Bought all the ships. I bought an eel for like 100,000 credits or some shit. I don't know, like just random shit. Like
I don't think I spent much time in the store, to be quite honest. I was just, it just wasn't somewhere I was like felt I needed to go.
I was invested. I bought new furniture for my apartment. You know, I mean, come on. The admiral or the general guy said spend some time.
So you did.
So I did. I didn't get the fucking stupid, like, they do have other mini games in the new Citadel part that's off. They have some other games in there, like
I played some of the gambling ones in the casino, but
no, there's another there's like a Street Fighter type game.
yes,
not
there's
good.
a Street Fighter. Isn't there a like shooting type, shoot 'em up?
Oh, I didn't
type
play that
game.
one. Yeah, it's like, don't do that. If you can't do it well, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, stick to what you're good at. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, I was just like,
No.
But no, I had a lot of fun with this one. I mean, I had fun with the entire trilogy. I thought it was really cool to play it all, especially in such a short kind of.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I know it's a year, but it's a short kind of a time span to do all three of those games. And
yeah, because like it felt like numbers 1 and 2 were still somewhat fresh in your memory, as opposed to, you know, you played them 4 or 5 years ago.
also just how well they like really stand up, you know, against the
Yes.
you know, video games. Some video games you go back to and they just do not, and these all, you know, stand up as a piece of collective work, even on their own, but as a piece of collective video game work.
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
The story and the fact of the story is just, it works over 3 games. And I'm guessing when they made the first one, they didn't really think too far ahead about making
Yeah, because it just kind of ends
the
that first
trilogy.
one.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, we won, and it's just roll credits. You know, there's no real.
Mm-hmm.
It's really in the second one that, all right, we're
And
gonna establish something.
And they really, and I like how the alien races are very distinctive, and they all have. It feels like old Star Trek, where, you know, you got the Klingons and the Romulans, and each race has its own personality and its kind of like guiding philosophy.
but all the designs of those
Yeah.
alien races are all really well done. You know, like I believe those more than some of the Star Trek ones actually. For some reason,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
I would give you that. It's like they're all distinctive and they're all good.
Like the Solarian is such a weird race, but it's also a very cool race. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that design very interesting and very cool. I don't know. Same with the Krogans, but that's basically the Krogans are basically your Klingons. You know,
Yeah.
both start with
I like
K's.
that. I must admit, I like the
Oh,
Krogans.
yeah, 100%.
Oh,
I think
it's
it's
like-
funny they have little tails. It's very
yeah.
there's I don't know if you got this scene, but there's in the new Citadel DLC. There's a mission where Grunt is just got drunk and fucked some shit up, and you have to walk around and pay.
No.
Oh, okay, so you have to walk around and deal with all his like getting drunk and breaking shit. And so you have to pay for stuff because he lit a car on fire and drove it through a fucking thing and all kinds of stupid shit, all kinds
That's
of funny,
awesome.
stupid shit. And so anyway, Grunt's apologizing. He's like, and my Shepard, I'm just being nice to him because I like Grunt a lot. And it's like, and Grunt goes, I love you, Shepard. It's just like, oh, it's like so sweet. It was like so stupid because he's all being a junk and dumbass, and then he's just very
Yeah,
nice.
like Grunt is the teenager, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just funny. It's like, oh, and then he never got to be in my squad. That was like the disappointing thing. It's like,
Yeah, I must admit I was disappointed that Grunt didn't come back because I like Grunt.
but yeah. So that was a funny little memory. I streamed all of it. So like, if anybody listening to this wants to go back and watch me play I don't know, probably like 35 hours of gameplay, maybe 40. I don't know. You guys can. I have gotten quite a few views on some of them, surprisingly, but yeah, just some great, cool, funny moments.
It's your solid game.
Very
A solid trilogy.
100%. I mean, more than solid. I think it is I think it stands up. I think it is a masterpiece. I think it's deserving of all its accolades that it's gotten over the years, and there's a reason that people love it so much.
And I think, to be quite honest, they always had a hard act to follow when they did Mass Effect Andromeda, because the trilogy kind of ends in a good way, and it's like, yes, the characters are really interesting, and there's still life in that universe, but by the same token,
Right.
there's no easy way to kind of continue it.
I think Andromeda has some other issues that are. Have you played Andromeda?
No, I have
Oh,
not.
you should borrow it. You should play it. I think my problem with Andromeda is it's just a lot. Like it. I think what's cool about Mass Effect, while it is kind of open, it's still a very driven story. It's
Yes.
very, for the most part, linear in kind of a certain way.
I must admit, I liked that Mass Effect 3 could basically be summed up in about like 4 or 5
Right.
bits. You know, there's the initial invasion, then there's the Krogan bit, then there's Tali and the Geth, then
Right.
there's the Elusive Man, and then there's the finale, basically.
Right.
Yeah, the DLC adds into there, but it's...
Right. The problem with Andromeda is that it wants you to settle colonies on planets. So like it adds this whole there's a story and then there's all this like we want you to like make colonies on all these planets. So there's all this open world shit they want you to do. And then kind of like in Mass Effect 3 where you're collecting all your war resources, you have to colonize a certain amount of planets before you can initialize the final game story. And it's just like, I don't want to do all this open world colonizing shit.
Yeah.
You know, because it was so much more work than just collecting resources. It seemed like it anyway.
Yeah, like Mass Effect 3, basically you do bits of the story to collect resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like...
And then because they're so good and well written, you kind of want to keep going with some other stuff. And whereas Andromeda doesn't necessarily feel like it's all good. There's definitely good in it. It's just not all good. There's just too much that isn't good that they could have trimmed out and kind of streamlined it. And I think that's Andromeda's failing. But
I kind of felt the same way about Horizon Forbidden West. It was like, when I played that, it was the game had expanded too much. They had like too big a map with too much stuff in it that didn't drive the story and was kind of inconsequential.
uh-huh.
You know, but Anyway.
Funny, no, along those lines though, it's kind of funny because the new Spider-Man 2, they actually scale back the story. That was one of the critiques, that it's not as long as the other two games, and it's like, or the first game, and it's like, well, I think they just want to tell a focused story, and then if you want to go off and do the other stuff, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But like, and I kind of like that, like, make the requirements and the game a focused narrative of 20 to 25 hours, and then if the other stuff is something that you fall in love with, then you'll do it. But like, Andromeda just dropped you into this, I have to do all this, what? Before the fun? And it's just kind of like, but once you get through that, then it is fun. Like, I think Andromeda is fun. You just have to get through it for like the first 5 to 8 hours. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of want to play Spider-Man 2 because I really enjoyed it. I platinumed the first Spider-Man game, and I played Miles Morales, and that was pretty good.
definitely solid games. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, focus. I think that's one thing to learn from what Insomniac is doing. It's like focus. And I think this original Mass Effect trilogy has focus. And I think when you lose focus to make it just...
Yeah.
I hate the fact that like gamers nowadays equate like, oh, 45, 60 hours means it's worth $60, which that's not necessarily, quantity isn't quality, you know?
No, what I liked about this was you could initiate the final mission once you got to, you know, it gave you a progress bar, and it's like once you hit here, you can go to the final content. But both you and I didn't, because like it was just so enjoyable, and the stories of the other characters that you didn't want to miss.
100%. And plus, I feel like, you know, you get to that point, it's like, well, we could do this already? It's like, because I feel like I just started this game, you know? It's like, I want to, you know, I think that's smart to be like, you know, and then it leaves you wanting more. I put, you know, when you can play like a 35 hour game and be like, oh man, I want to play more of this, I think that's the success. I think that's focus and done right. You know, don't give me an 80-hour game and tell me I have to. You know.
Yeah, I imagine in its original form, without the DLC, it was probably 25 hours.
Probably, yeah.
But by the same token, I must admit, I was very impressed how the DLC didn't feel like DLC.
Yeah, I didn't know at first. I like that Omega DLC. I didn't realize it was DLC. I just like I initiated it. I went off and did this quest, and I'm like, what? I don't remember this at all. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting. I thought
maybe. Like DLC, it felt a little bit just because it was kind of separate, parallel. Right. But the other ones, like the Leviathan one, was just felt like part of the game.
I guess, but I was still collecting them as a resource for my war meter.
Yep.
So it still was tied in. So it just felt like, oh, I'm just out here doing this thing. And then at some point, it's like, I don't remember these characters being in my party. This has got to be DLC. Anyway. So, but yeah, just really fun. Well written. It's. I'm curious what this new. I mean, we're not going to see it for like a few years still, but whatever this new Mass Effect is going to be, I'm curious what direction they're going to go, because, and I hope they go back and look at this original trilogy and see what was successful. You know.
Sometimes I find this with a lot of things nowadays. It's like I wish they'd just go off and do a new universe.
100%.
Story.
100%.
It's kind of like Star Wars. It's getting to the point where it's like, and Star Trek, it's as much as I love them and you want them to go back to the universe after a while, there's just no more. It's just very hard to do something new and imaginative. And
well, that's the other thing. Andromeda was, I mean, it's the same universe, same type of characters, but there's no mention of the original Mass Effect. Like, maybe Shepard is mentioned offhandedly, but you're not even a part of N7. You know, it's a totally different storyline, and I think it was fine. It's just no focus, I think, is the problem. So, and I think the world has enough richness that you could create that new story. It just needs to be focused, I think. But at the same time, 100%, I wish new IP was what they did instead. So.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like they take what would have been a great story anyway and shoehorn it into an existing universe just because it's less risky to.
Oh, so many games of like.
Games and so many movies as well. It's like, you know.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like, because I really enjoyed Star Wars Rogue One, and that didn't need to be in the Star Wars universe necessarily.
That's what is it? The Dirty Dozen or
Yeah.
what's the other one? Uh,
Uh,
Whatever war movie that they all die at the end. They go on a mission. Isn't it The Dirty Dozen?
I think it is the Dirty Dozen where most of them die. Yeah, there's only like two of them make it out at the end or something.
Right. Anyway, that's the same time. It's the same story.
Yeah. Although you're the film guy, so there's only so many stories, isn't there?
Right.
What is it, like 4 stories or something?
Oh, well, there's man against man, man against God, man against nature.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
that's it, basically. Maybe man against self? I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I love this. I'm so glad we played it. I'm glad we got to do these episodes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like things that stood out that I wanted to say and I'm not saying, but
I like the galaxy map. The Reapers coming after you with controlling the galaxies. That was fun.
added a little flavor. They never caught me. I don't even know. Did they catch you? I don't even know what
They
they do.
caught me once, but then you just restart and it's fine. It's not like a big deal.
Nothing happens. Oh, okay.
No, you don't really lose anything for it. It's just like instant death, basically.
Yeah, I always I would like risk it and then I would just take off.
They only caught me because I was like trying to get the, stupid thing for a side quest. Because you would scan the planet, find whatever it was, and then run out of there as fast as you could.
Yeah. There's some cool shit though. Oh, there was one mission. Okay, there is one boss battle. I think it's the boss battle before Legion dies, where you're fighting that Reaper, and you're doing the lock-on laser thing to the Reaper.
Yes.
So fucking slow, and it's just like
shoot the glowy bit.
Shoot the glowy bit, but then it's I'm like clicking it to charge and lock on, and it's just like
it'll only let you lock on at a certain time,
and you basically got to like dodge back and forth and miss the beam. And I was just like, I got frustrated there in the beginning because I'd back up and get stuck on something, and like I can't fucking roll, and I was like. I got a bit frustrated there, and I was like, "Why is this?
I
Why is
found
this
that
even
really easy? Cause
it was
like,
easy, but in the very beginning, I was just like, "What the fuck?"
I think they were trying to go for a sense of scale. That was part of it.
But part of me was just like, "Let's just lock on at once, kill it, and call it good." Like I don't need to do this like 3-4 times. It's just like, bleh.
Yeah, I've got something in orbit that's gonna kill it. Let's just do it.
Let's just get on with it. So because then you do it. You kind of do it again later, but don't.
Yep.
And it's just like quick. And it's just like, don't do this in your games.
But I did enjoy the shooting mechanic. I thought that was fun. And,
definitely
played around with a few of the weapons, and the add-ons actually did make a difference. But
did you add many new powers? Like you could go into the med bay and you could switch. You could like add another power.
I did one or two, but I kind of just I got my character about halfway through. I was just got a character I was comfortable with that like really worked for me, and after that I didn't really explore any of the other stuff.
Pretty much the same here. I mean, I would go in there just to kind of see, but I was like, nah, I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah, I would unlock stuff, and then I almost screwed myself up because on the final mission, I decided I would play around with like the add-ons for my gun, and I thought I'd put them back to the way they were. So I got so used to like my gun working in a particular way when I pressed the buttons, and I put these add-ons on, so it was more like a sniper rifle than a regular rifle, and it really screwed me up because I'm so used to like locking on, and it would be like just laser sight, and then I changed it to like this sniper scope, and so it would go like really zoomed in, and I'm like, no, that's not what I want.
It's funny.
But
okay, I don't know. This is another thing I didn't remember that I wanted to talk about. The Shepherd clone, is that DLC or is that original story? Do you know?
I do not know. Yeah, you meet the clone. Is that I'm trying to think if that's part of the DLC.
Because it's also a very inventive missions, because it's the whole crew is running through this mission, and they're like
Yes.
giving fire support, and you're running around, and it
And
was
she
kind
takes
of
over the ship with
yeah, yeah,
your
and then
voice and all the rest of it.
yeah, and it's just like man, and then
Yeah, because she hacks into the Citadel to change
it's got to
the
be a DLC story,
central
right?
records to.
Because I did not remember it.
You're asking
Anyway,
the guy who
I
didn't
know
play it
you
through the
haven't
first
played it.
time.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, and then I think it's funny because, like, she's trying to get on your ship, and then my girlfriend, her toothbrush is what gets us into the ship,
Yes.
and then
Yeah, that was funny. The toothbrush.
and then you fight in the cargo bay, and then I did try to save her, and then she said "fuck you" anyway, and
Yep.
and it's just like, all right.
Yeah, Nasty Shepherd died. So
But I thought that was funny and that was cool, and but I was just like, I'm the better shepherd, bitch. I also thought it was funny when they lock you in that like airtight container, and your shepherd's just kind of like talking shit, and everyone else is worried that they're gonna run out of air. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the writing's a lot of fun and kind of
I did enjoy those few moments where it doesn't take itself super seriously. Like there's moments when it does, but like they kind of like palate cleanses almost when there's the banter between them.
100%. Yeah, no, really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. Sad that it's over.
Yep.
But
Play it again in 10 years.
maybe I don't know. It sucks because the multiplayer was a lot of fun that it wasn't included, but I get the fact that they probably didn't want to turn the servers back on just to deal with that ancient ass,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I can imagine if we went on now and the servers were on, it'd be dead. It'd be you and me.
it's basically like some of the single player missions where like you would clear out an area and then you would just try to get to the extraction point and then
It's
take
kind
off.
of the zombie horde type.
Yeah, but they would just be like Cerberus people, or it'd be different. And you just land, you collect resources, you shoot a bunch. They'd send like a bunch of waves at you, and then you just go to the extraction zone and take off. But you get to do that with like 4 of your friends or whoever was playing.
I could have done with more of the missions where you're in the mech.
Oh,
The like Leviathan mission, I think, is where you go in the mech. I kind of found that fun.
well, there's a trophy for like because there's a couple areas in the Cerberus where they have the mechs. And you just have to break them out, and you can take them over. You can hijack them.
Oh, I didn't discover that.
There's a trophy for that. So if you don't blow it up, if you shoot the glass at the Cerberus guy,
shoot the guy who's controlling it
in the glass, and then it'll break, and then you can mount into it, and then run around. And it's not explained. You wouldn't know unless you.
Most of the time I was just concerned about like actually killing them.
But yeah, towards the end, there's that mission where you land in is it the Geth ship? I don't know. And there's like all these ships taking off or something, and there's some Cerberus. Oh no, I forget what it is. There's a bunch of Cerberus in there for some reason. Anyway, yeah, it really helps to have the mech for that. But
yeah, there was that one little bit on the final mission where you're on Earth, and what are those big tank things called that run at you? Felt a little cheap.
oh.
They just like horde mode you, and it's kind of tricky to keep alive.
But yeah, that whole Leviathan thing was a different kind of cool. And actually, that was really short too. You just kind of go down, you see it, and then I was like, oh, I was kind of like,
yeah, and then you defend the base. You go down, and then you come back up and defend it again,
and just kind of over. But the whole underwater thing was, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You don't really think of like trying underwater mechanics, but
yeah, I also like that one though, just because it gave you a bit more information about the Reapers. So and it's like it's kind of cool
because we still don't really know a lot about it.
No, and it was like definitely expanding that little portion of the story.
Right. Cool.
So,
well. I don't know.
So I think the general review of the trilogy is like awesome. 2 thumbs up. Yeah.
I totally agree. It's a masterpiece. Obviously people are going to have their favorites, But I think playing the whole thing through really kind of it gives me a whole new perspective. Especially
Yeah.
playing the same character all the way through is just kind of cool. I don't know. I really enjoyed that experience.
Can you think of any other trilogies that are up there with it?
A trilogy that is up there.
Like game wise, because there's some very solid games that are like single games, or maybe there's single game in the sequel, but it definitely feels like after the first game, after the first game, when they were making the second game, they had the ideas. They had the trilogy kind of somewhat plotted out.
I don't know, man. I don't know if there's as good a
Yeah,
trilogy. Maybe the Batman trilogy, the Arkham Knight trilogy is pretty
yeah,
strong. I mean, it's the same characters kind of dealing, but like it's that's three different stories of the same kind of retreaded
yeah.
villains, whereas Mass Effect is the same villains and it's the same story arc. Like it's all one story arc, ultimately.
It also doesn't feel disjoint. Like when you finish the first one, it's not like, oh, and now there's another one.
Right.
It's That's what I like about it. Is it's like each one is self-contained, and if there wasn't another story, you'd be pretty happy with the way it ended.
Like Mass Effect Andromeda, while it is in the same game universe, I don't consider it a sequel to this trilogy. It's
Yeah.
its own thing.
So it's more like the Mandalorian kind
Right.
of like
Whereas Gears of War has like what 5 or 6 Gears of Wars that has the same characters, but I don't think those are consistent across the board.
yeah,
Or the Halo games. I don't think they're it's a very weird. I think
yeah.
it's a very unique. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't really think of just a trilogy of games that is so kind of
Yeah, I can't even think of anything that were
like it's
in
pretty
like
tight, Dave. Really.
yeah. There's nothing that I'm playing or have played recently that feels the same as this, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like story wise.
Because they
I feel
usually
like
they always kind
Horizon might go that way. Like
maybe
it could be kind of a cool trilogy in that respect.
perhaps I don't know. I still haven't played the second one, so I don't know. Um, but like you look at Assassin's Creed, there's like a million games on that, but like very few of those games are connected with each other. They're all they're a
Yeah.
sequel just
Different
because it's a
time
sequel, but
zones
it's like
and
yeah, it's
like
like
yeah.
they don't necessarily work all together. That's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because these games definitely work together, and I can't even think of many games that do the character progression like this. I.e., if you lose a character in
Right.
the previous game, you don't have access to him in the next one.
There's another one of those
Yeah,
things also that's like, why isn't it done more?
yeah,
Like this was a cool thing that we all loved from Mass Effect, and no one does it.
yeah, and it gives it much more emotional heft and impact when characters die if you know that they're not gonna like be resurrected for the next one.
Right. And I mean, that was against because we were doing this for this podcast, losing Tally, in a weird gamer thing, I would have saved Scum, gone back and made sure she made it through. But I thought for this, I thought it was important to just play the character as is
Yeah.
all the way through. I thought that was very important. That was a part of this Shepard's story. And I was just like, but there's
Yeah,
something
I
cool
also
about
think
that.
that's the other thing, isn't it? It's like you two people can play this game and have different experiences,
Oh yeah.
and they're both good. It's like the choices. I think that's what makes the choices more impactful is that they are actually choices that have consequences going down the line.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that really like BioShock. We were talking about BioShock last night, and those games are all vastly different. That's a trilogy,
Yeah,
but those are all
it's
different
a
games.
trilogy, but the decisions you make in Bioshock One don't really have any impact on two or three. It's like they don't affect the story in the way the story of Mass Effect can be quite different depending on what races and what you know
And I think that's what
people died.
the bread and butter of what BioWare used to do, and I think that's what BioWare needs to do to be successful again. But
But like you were saying, I think sometimes the world's too big.
oh
Like
yeah,
this Mass Effect 3 felt like it was on the edge of being like if it was much bigger, I don't think the story would have been as tight. Like I was saying earlier, it's like five pieces of story basically that come together to make.
I guess the galaxy's pretty big, but like those missions, like the actual like levels, pretty small. Like you could get through a level pretty
Yes.
like a game level pretty quickly. It wasn't like Andromeda where they put you on a planet and you're just like,
And now,
now
and
you,
then,
you can go wherever you want. It's like, oh great, I don't want to. Just take me to the mission.
yeah, yeah. At some point, sometimes you need that tightness, don't you? That it's like,
Because
I don't
now they
really want
want
to
you
fight.
now they want you to sandbox the thing where like, oh now here's the mission, drive all the way over there, but by the time you get over there there's like a million other things you're gonna get sidetracked by. And I was like, I don't want to get sidetracked and I don't want to spend 20 minutes driving to this point.
Like, there's a reason they put quick traveling these games.
Anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe Mass Effect 3 is truly unique in that regard that
Yep.
it's a trilogy that is ultimately one game. You know?
Yes, it is really, and the universe is big enough that it feels like a full universe, but it's small enough that you don't feel overwhelmed by it.
Maybe today it's just the fact that video games are so expensive to produce and there's expectations that like trying to do something this so
Yeah.
grand is scary. It's like to put all your cards on the table and gamble, whereas back in the 360 PS3 days there was just more risk, willing to take more risks.
It wasn't as expensive to do it, and so you did it. But also, I think sometimes, studios are their own worst enemy. They try and put content into a game, and sometimes it's not about. It shouldn't always be about quantity.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, it's quality that counts.
I mean, maybe the Spider-Man trilogy is. I mean, it's not really a trilogy because it's like a number 1, then like a 1.5, and then a 2. But like those guys, you don't carry any decisions across those games. But
No.
that story is those characters. There's new villains. They still have the same story technically. So that's. I mean, it's not the same, but it's probably the closest in the sense.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like it's the same universe, but yeah, it doesn't really affect what you did in the first one. Doesn't affect the second and the...
Right. I'm waiting for a game to do that again. I think would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, considering these were released over the period of what was it, 10 years or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that they all hold together. And
I mean, it takes so long to make a game now, like 5 to 6 years. That like
Yep.
it seems like it would be impossible to do this now unless you purposefully made like a lower quality, smaller, not as high. I don't know. I don't know what the give and take is.
yeah, I mean, it's probably something just like character models and the number of pixels or number of like surfaces you can have. You were kind of limited, so
Because it'd be
whereas
cool,
now-
like a Cyberpunk 2, Dave. But you just pick up with your character, like that save transfers over, and you just
oh
have your
man,
character.
that would be awesome. Yeah,
Why isn't that a thing? Why wouldn't that be? But if that were the thing, that would be the thing. But it's not what's going to happen. You're going to play a whole new,
No.
different thing, and you know what I mean?
yeah. Cyberpunk's a really interesting story in the game in general. Just the fact how they've kind of pulled it out of the muck, and now it's this great game.
Right.
It's really enjoyable. It's almost like they released it too early, and then they persevered, and now it's what they actually wanted it to be when they started.
It was funny because I don't know if you read that article I posted, but like how the CD Projekt Red wants to remain independent and they have no
Yep.
interest in being. And it was like, it's funny that like you don't really think of that studio as an independent studio, and yet you look at these
No.
things that are called indie games that are being released by Nexon or Tencent, and it's like, well, these are giant corporations releasing these tiny.
They're just a
indie
small
games.
software house in a giant owned by a
Right.
giant
Which
corporation.
is technically not an indie game, and
yeah.
so it's like, I don't know what you're gonna call those games, but I think if Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red has the ability to create a game where you would have a character that would transfer over to another game, it would be cool to see it happen. But obviously,
Yeah.
is supposed to die, in the game, so that
Yeah,
character is
yeah.
anyway.
That character has a finite
Time span,
lifespan, yeah.
Anyway,
which is what makes that game so good. But
Well, anything else you want to add? Anything else we want to? We're at an hour. We made
I
it.
have to say, my own worst enemy when it comes to this. I want more Mass Effect, but I know more Mass Effect will not be as good as
This Mass
existing
Effect.
Mass Effect. Yeah, it's kind of like Star Wars, the original trilogy. I wanted more Star Wars for a long time, and then when we got more Star Wars, it's never been as good as the original Star Wars, and so I'm kind of like, it's just a product of its time, and if they want to remaster it, make it look a little better, great. But by the same token, we saw how that worked for the original Star Wars trilogy, so maybe you just leave it in the state it is.
Do you think it's ever worked where they've gone back and taken something from an IP and made it something as good
I always
or
feel
better?
I was actually talking about this with someone the other day, and I was thinking about movies specifically more than video games. But usually, if they haven't made the best one by the time they make number three, and it's usually the first or the second one that are the best, then it's just diminishing returns from that point.
So I generally agree with you, but I would say, in my opinion, I do think Prey is better than the first Predator. But
I could see that. I didn't enjoy that movie, but
oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
no, not particularly. But by the same token, I could see why you would say that. I feel like Predator's weird anyway. It's just like,
Well, it's just a nostalgia grind.
yeah, yeah.
The new Godzilla movie, the Japanese Godzilla movie, is supposed to be awesome. It's like best picture of the year. Like has one of the highest ratings. I can't wait to see. Was it Godzilla -1? It's supposed to be awesome, and I haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah, I'd look forward to that. I mean, it's not to say that they can't make great movies or they can't make like good stuff in the same universe, but I feel it never quite gets past that point.
well, yeah,
Usually
Prey
it's
Prey will never be the nostalgic
yeah,
'80s Predator. While I believe it's a better made film and I like it better, it's never going to top the Arnold Schwarzenegger. What it is.
and then sometimes I feel like they were kind of limited a bit in the fact that they put it in the Predator universe. But then it would have never got funded if was its own thing and it had its own, non-Predator kind of. So sometimes they use that as shorthand because everyone knows, well, not everyone knows, but
Right.
culturally, you don't have to introduce the bad guy particularly well if,
You already know what it
yeah,
is.
if you know what the story is behind them. So,
Right.
because you can argue all day long. There's like Alien versus Aliens and
Well,
Terminator
but
versus
even
Terminator
Predator, it
2,
never
but
really
like,
explained what the Predator was.
no. But you can argue about a lot of these films, and
Right.
once you get to about number three, it's just diminishing returns from there.
100%.
So I feel like that's kind of Mass Effect. It's like it's a great universe, and I'm sure it'll come back again because like I say, we're on the worst enemies about wanting more. Some is good, more is better.
Well, it's also hard. It's also hard to create a new IP
Yeah,
that's a role playing game in space when Mass Effect is the pinnacle. Like you have to be better than Mass Effect. It's like how do you
yeah,
fucking attempt that?
yeah. I feel like a good example is I watched that Rebel Moon on
Oh my
Netflix.
god.
Whatever you say about whether it's a good movie or not, it was like you're watching it and you're like, okay, so they took this bit from Star Wars, they took this graphic design. It feels like a mishmash of like
They took the whole
various
story from
units.
Seven Samurai.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no,
you know
but
what I'm saying? It's like that was like a new universe. It was quite nice actually, even though it was taking bits from everywhere. It was quite nice to just see something that was at least trying to be something else. And it wasn't like relying on the fact that it was the Star Wars universe or the Star Trek universe or the
right.
Dune universe. It was like, okay, so you're at least trying to make your own kind of galaxy.
We can't use the Empire, so we'll do our own space
Yeah.
Nazis. I mean,
Oh, yeah. As soon as that guy came out, I'm like, man, that's they didn't try very hard on the uniform, did they? He looked like he could have just stepped out of the Second World War. I mean, he even
There's
had
a-
the German tank commander. What's that? I think it's filigree, is it, or
oh
whatever?
yeah, well, like,
The metal necklace thing that looks like a kind of half moon.
you have Anthony Hopkins
Yep.
and not Anthony Daniels playing C-3PO. And it's just like,
Yeah.
what? I mean,
It was not original, but by
it's
the same token, it was nice. It would have been so easy to take that movie and
right.
shoehorn it into the Star Wars universe.
But that's what it was. It was a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And then
so,
Disney said no. And so he went off and made it at Netflix. And so you can make the parallels that like, wow, this was
true.
so Star Warsy.
Yep.
Anyway. But I guess what I'm saying is like it's hard to make a Star Wars movie not be Star Wars. Like if you wanted to make your own space opera with like smugglers and it's like how are you going to do that against Star Wars without anyone saying like you ripped off Star Wars? Like that's so hard. You gotta like to find a whole new premise or
it's very hard to come up with a
like you can't come up with like this ideal society in space without like confronting Star Trek, like
although I have to say Mass Effect shows you that there is still like fertile ground because Mass Effect didn't feel like
Star Trek.
It didn't feel like any universe that we've seen in film.
It's true.
And didn't feel like any universe, like it had elements of certain universes, but like the Krogan and the different races on the ships. And then from a TV standpoint, The Expanse felt like its own thing.
Or Battlestar. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're right. It can be done. It's just, but those are also, that's
but
the
you're taking a big
too.
risk as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's like people will watch anything if you stick Star Wars on it.
Right.
As evidenced by some of the series they put out.
And I think you can't like if you want to make your game, you can't say I want to make a game like Star Wars, but not Star Wars. And you should never say that because then people are already going to compare it to Star Wars. They're already thinking that I want to make a game like Mass Effect, but not Mass Effect. You don't ever make that mistake. Don't ever say that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because we always want these new universes, don't we? I mean, Starfield, that kind of stuff. It's like we're always looking for like new.
Well,
new
like
worlds.
Destiny,
Yeah.
We wanted that was. They didn't say it was like anything. They just said this is gonna be this new game, and
for
Destiny good or bad,
Yeah, I really enjoyed Destiny. I know we all did. So.
I guess that one, I mean, your first character transfers over to the second game. If they made a third game, I imagine your character would transfer over to the third game if they ever got around to it. So I guess maybe that's
the only
close.
thing about that game is the narrative's not as important as the grind.
The grind, right.
Like, it's got a good narrative, don't get me wrong. The story's pretty fun, but...
It can be, yeah.
It's not earth-shattering. It's not the central pillar of the game.
Yeah, it's not why you play.
Yeah, it's not why you... join the game, the story just happens to be there.
Right. So.
Kind of like Halo, it's like there's a story there, but it's not bad. It's just like that's not necessarily why you play the game.
Right. You play it for multiplayer.
Plus, also those stories are very linear. It's like Mass Effect. Your choices actually have pretty good effects on the story, whereas and the ending you get. Whereas like Halo. There are no choices there.
Right. You live or you die. You either you either make it to the end or you decide that you are just not good enough or you just depending on how hard. Yeah,
so they're different games. And I think that's why Mass Effect is so unique in some respects because there are very few games where your decisions have consequences and you get to select your ending almost.
I think those games are getting, I mean, you look at Baldur's Gate and all the decisions and choices you make. The choice is a big deal in that game. I mean, you could invite characters to your party, but you could also accidentally kill them. or they could leave your party, or there's all this other. And I think that's interesting in games to start seeing that choice kind of grow. And that's what I would like to see more in video games. That whole choice, like you make a decision and then it affects.
Yeah.
I don't really need better looking games, or I want to see.
But I also feel like Mass Effect is small enough that I can keep it all in my head.
Right.
Like the characters and the
Baldur's
races.
Gate is huge, right?
Yeah, there's not like 20 races in the game. Well, there are, but like the ones that actually count, there's not that many. And it's like, and the characters from those races, like sometimes more is not more.
Right.
Less is more. It's like
100%.
You know, sometimes these games go too big and too many races and too many characters, and you're like, you just feel overwhelmed, and it's very hard to keep them all, track of them all.
Right.
Whereas
I think it's just
a good job of making them individuals, and like you actually, you know,
it's just the evolution of choice that I would like to see more implemented in games.
Yes.
That is,
Yeah.
I agree that Baldur's Gate is a massive game and it's a lot to, but like the idea of choice, or what, like to the point of real choice and decision, I think that's what I like to see more in video games, and that's why I really like
choice that has consequences as well.
Yes,
yeah, it's not because you get choices in a lot of games.
Oh yeah,
but it's
yeah.
okay, it just makes my meter good, bad.
Right,
it doesn't actually change the outcome of the story.
Exactly, I mean, even in Baldur's Gate, it's ultimately meters that you're playing good or bad against.
Yeah,
but there's so much more minute detail going into those choices that it's something that's exciting and I would like to see more of. So
yeah. I wonder if the space racist comes back if you didn't kill her in the second one.
Oh yeah. So yes, she wasn't. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, because both of us killed her, didn't we?
We killed it, but like in my original game of Mass Effect 2, I chose the female.
You chose to be racist.
Well, I didn't know she was a racist. I didn't know she was a They don't explain. They don't say she's a racist. I just picked between the boy and the girl, and I went with the girl. Yeah. So Ashley Williams was in my Mass Effect 2 and my Mass Effect 3. So what's his name wasn't. So this time around he was. But I don't really remember what she did, and she didn't really have a very big role, as I remember in 2.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a big role in this one either.
So yeah, she was around, but I very rarely saw her. Well, he wasn't more of a role in this one. He was actually a part of the crew.
Yeah.
So
I just didn't. Yeah, I never picked him much.
Yeah,
it's like I did get on the Citadel mission where they were grumbling about never being picked.
Oh yeah.
Did you get that one where it's like you pick someone and it's like, and they're like, we never get picked.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I think the overall is if anyone's listening, if you haven't played these 3, definitely, because I think you can pick it up on disc now for like $5-10 or something silly.
And you probably got it free
Trilogy.
if you're on Plus.
Yeah, so. if you were a PlayStation Plus subscriber this time last year, you probably got. I think it was about this time last year when it was free to download.
And it's getting pretty cheap on sales.
If you didn't, just get it digitally, get it on disc, whichever takes your fancy. But I want to say it's like $10-15 if you keep your eye out.
But I think like the whole trilogy digitally, I think on Steam or PSN is around $20 now. So
yeah.
So you could also get all 3 for crazy cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely worth a playthrough. So
for sure. All right. Awesome.
All right.
A lot of fun. It was fun doing this little adventure with you, Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing along.
We'll have to find another trilogy.
Yeah, we'll have to find something. Figure it out.
Maybe we go back to Destiny 1.
Oh, man.
If anyone's still playing that.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
All right. Let's what are the outgoing goodbyes? I want to thank you all for listening and remind you to leave feedback at thecouchcoopshow@gmail.com or find us on our socials at Couch Co-op Shows, all one word, no hyphen. I want to thank Dave for joining me here on the couch. For Couch Co-op, I'm Ian, reminding you all to please be excellent to each other. Doodle-doo.
Couch Co-op is full of douchebags.